Brad Williams, Excel primed. As I continue to state, relative rows are sometimes really hard to visualize. In other words, you're asking, why do I have to include these? You've already seen why we have to throw in the relative rows and relative columns to do some computations. In this tutorial, we're just going to review. I'm just going to do a quick review on how to incorporate relative rows. And there's a lot of different ways to do this. This is just one of many different ways to do this. We're going to use min row, and we have this miss 806, just miscellaneous. And it just represents B5 to B11. We could recognize any reference we need to do this. We're using the row and the rows function. We're using this -1 because we're totaling the total number of rows. Total number of rows, and then we have to subtract 1 to get the last relative row. Are we lost in terms of what relative is? Here is row, miscellaneous here, see row. All we're doing is getting the row number, 5. You can just do this, get rid of this, 806, and accomplish the same thing. We can just copy this down, copy down. That's just the row number. The question is, why are we incorporating this other min in order to, in the rows, to get this final output? Keep in mind, we are just trying to get this last row. In order to get the last row, we have to throw in all of the other functionality. Here, we can just back out of here. You know, min miscellaneous 806, it's going to give us 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Min right off the bat, it's going to be 5. What's the min of this argument? It's going to be 5. Then we have rows. Rows, which is what? Returns the number of rows in the array. What does that mean? It's going to give us all the numbers. Remember that in the columns deal? We're going to get all of this stuff here. Rows, and then it's going to break it up after every fourth. The first row is here, ends at A. You can see the semicolon. That's not what we want. We want to see, and it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It counts all the rows, F9, and it says 7. We know F9, we have 5. So we're counting all the rows, relative rows. 5 plus 7. That's why we have that -1. I left you hanging in that previous tutorial and I didn't explain the -1. I hope you read the information. Otherwise, maybe you knew and you just go, I already knew that, Brad. That's how we get this last row. If we just a number, we can use this row miscellaneous. We can also do this. You see here where we use min, row A5, A11. It's the exact same thing here. Min, row, miscellaneous. I just wanted to show you, here's this number, that 5. Remember I said there's the 5. This is what it looks like. It's the same thing here. Row, miscellaneous 806. Row, miscellaneous 806. And we're just looking at this spill. This is a spill here. And all we're doing is saying, give me the minimum. The challenging part is now you have a new function, rows. And all rows is going to do is count the total, whatever you identify. So you're saying count the number of rows here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So then we have what? 5 plus 7 minus 1. Over here, you can read this up. The duplicate of the columns function we were just playing around with, we just switched it up with rows. What's critical here is understanding rows versus row. And then you know min. You should be comfortable with min and the combination. You know, just the whole combination is what's critical here. The thinking point or the logic here is just step back. We're going to pull this thing apart piece by piece and put it together piece by piece. Brad Williams, Excel Prime, Williams out.